Number 1. The Bullet at Ford's Theater. The assassination of President Abraham Lincoln and the changes in American history. On April 14, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln, the preeminent leader of the United States, was assassinated at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. This was not just a simple assassination, but an event that left a deep wound in American history, causing the entire nation to shake and mourn the man who had led the country through its darkest hours. Abraham Lincoln was a symbol of resilience, unity, and freedom. Under his leadership, the United States survived the bloody Civil War of 1861 to 1865, ending slavery with the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863 and pushing through the 13th Amendment. However, his success made him a target for Southern extremists, including John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor and fanatical Confederate supporter. Booth, deeply resentful of the South's defeat, initially planned to kidnap Lincoln in exchange for the freedom of Southern prisoners. But when the South formally surrendered in April 1865, he switched to a more daring plan: assassinating the president. Booth believed that Lincoln's death would cause chaos in the Northern government and create an opportunity to restore Southern power. On the evening of April 14th, Good Friday, Lincoln, his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and a few guests went to Ford's Theater to see the play Our American Cousin. It was a rare evening for Lincoln to relax after the stressful months of war. Little did they know that this fateful evening would go down in history forever. Around 10 p.m., John Wilkes Booth sneaked into Lincoln's box. With a .41 caliber Derringer pistol in his hand, Booth walked up behind the president and fired a shot into his head. The fatal shot instantly knocked Lincoln unconscious. After firing the gun, Booth jumped from the box onto the stage, shouting, "Sic Semper Tyrannis," and fled the scene. Although wounded when he jumped off the stage, Booth escaped the scene. Lincoln was taken to a house across the street from the theater for emergency treatment. Despite the best efforts of the doctors, his injuries were too severe to survive. At 7:22 a.m. on April 15, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln breathed his last, leaving behind an endless stream of grief in the hearts of the American people. His wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, and members of the government stood by his bedside during that moment of grief. Shortly after the assassination, the largest manhunt in American history was launched to find John Wilkes Booth and his accomplices. After 12 days in hiding, Booth was discovered in a warehouse in Port Royal, Virginia. When he refused to surrender, Booth was shot dead by the pursuing force. His accomplices, including Mary Surratt, Lewis Powell, David Harold, and George Atzerodt, were all arrested and brought to trial. Mary Surratt became the first woman to be executed in the United States for treason. Lincoln's death was not only a national tragedy, but it also left a huge void in the post-Civil War Reconstruction period. His conciliatory policies were not followed, leading to tension and division for many years to come. However, Abraham Lincoln's legacy lives on. The Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., built in his honor, has become a symbol of freedom, justice, and hope. Abraham Lincoln's assassination was not only a tragic event in American history, but also a reminder of the cost of political division and hatred. His image will forever be a symbol of unity and determination to fight for the highest values of humanity. The Sarajevo Gunfire, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and the flames of World War I. On June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, Bosnia, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the throne of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and his wife Sophie were assassinated in an event that shocked Europe. This was the spark that ignited World War I, one of the most devastating wars in human history. At that time, the Austro-Hungarian Empire was facing internal conflicts due to ethnic and political differences. Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was annexed to the empire in 1908, became a hotbed of conflict as many Serbs supported the nationalist movement, wishing to unify the Slavic lands. The Black Hand, a Serbian nationalist terrorist group, planned to assassinate Archduke Franz Ferdinand to send a message against Austro-Hungarian power. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, known for his reformist stance and desire for greater freedom for the peoples of the empire, made him a target for extremists. On 28 June 1914, Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie arrived in Sarajevo on an official visit. Despite receiving numerous warnings about security risks, the prince chose to travel by car to attend the day's events. The Black Hand had placed members at points along the route of the motorcade to carry out the assassination plan. That morning, one of the attackers threw a grenade at the prince's car but missed, causing the grenade to explode behind him and injuring several people. The motorcade then changed course, but in a fateful coincidence, the car carrying the prince accidentally took a wrong turn and stopped right in front of Gavrilo Princip, a member of the Black Hand. Princip did not miss the opportunity, opening fire at close range, firing 2 fatal shots into Franz Ferdinand and Sophie. Both died just minutes later. The assassination shocked Europe. The Austro-Hungarian government accused Serbia of being behind the attack and issued an ultimatum with demands that Serbia could not meet. When Serbia refused, Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28, 1914, prompting the intervention of the Allies. Russia, Serbia's ally, mobilized its army, prompting Germany, Austria-Hungary's ally, to declare war on Russia. European nations were quickly drawn into the vortex of war, leading to World War I. The war lasted from 1914 to 1918, causing the deaths of more than 20 million people and the collapse of many large empires, such as Austria-Hungary, Germany, Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand not only symbolized the dangers of extreme nationalism, but also showed the consequences of unresolved international political conflicts. This tragedy remains a profound historical lesson, reminding humanity of the consequences of war and the need for peace. Number 3. The Fatal Bullet. The Assassination of Mahatma Gandhi and a Warning for Peace. On January 30, 1948, Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of the Indian independence movement and an icon of nonviolence, was assassinated in New Delhi. The event sent shockwaves around the world, as Gandhi had been a tireless advocate of peace and communal harmony. He had led India to independence from British rule in 1947, but the process had also resulted in the partition of the country into India and Pakistan, leading to violence between Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs. Gandhi attempted to heal these rifts, but this sparked hatred from some Hindu extremists who accused him of favoring Muslims. The assassin, Nathuram Godse, a Hindu nationalist, believed that Gandhi had weakened the Hindu community and betrayed the country by making too many concessions to Pakistan. With this extremist ideology, Godse decided to assassinate Gandhi. On the afternoon of January 30, 1948, when Gandhi went to the prayer area at Birla House, New Delhi, Godse approached him and fired 3 fatal shots. Gandhi fell to the ground and is said to have uttered his last words, "He Ram," roughly translated, "Oh God." He died on the spot, leaving millions of Indians and the world in shock and grief. Gandhi's death plunged India into mourning. Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru tearfully said, "The light has gone out, but the light of Gandhi will shine forever." People all over the world held memorial services to express their grief. Nathuram Godse was arrested at the scene and sentenced to death after a lengthy trial. However, Gandhi's death did not overshadow his legacy. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence continues to inspire civil rights movements around the world. From Martin Luther King Jr. in the United States to Nelson Mandela in South Africa. Gandhi's assassination is a stark reminder of the consequences of hatred and political polarization. Despite his murder, his image and the values he fought for throughout his life live on, becoming a symbol of peace, tolerance, and human unity. Number 4. The Bullet in Dallas. The mystery of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. On November 22, 1963, United States President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas, in an event that shocked the United States and the world. Kennedy, the youngest president ever elected, was a symbol of hope and renewal. He led the United States through the tense moments of the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the Civil Rights Movement. However, his aggressive policies made him the target of many opposing factions. At about 12:30 p.m., as Kennedy's motorcade passed through Dealey Plaza, a series of gunshots rang out. The president was hit in the neck and head, causing him to collapse on the spot. His wife, Jacqueline Kennedy, panicked and hugged her husband. Texas Governor John Connally, who was in the same car, was also wounded. Kennedy was taken to Parkland Memorial Hospital, but did not survive. He died at 1 p.m. at the age of 46, leaving the United States in grief and shock. Lee Harvey Oswald, a former Marine, was arrested just hours later and charged with the assassination of the president. According to the official conclusion of the Warren Commission, Oswald shot Kennedy from the 6th floor of the Texas textbook warehouse, where he worked. However, before he could go to trial, Oswald was shot dead in front of television cameras by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner. Oswald's death sparked a series of assassination theories, from CIA and mafia conspiracies to foreign government intervention. Although the Warren Commission concluded that Oswald acted alone, many questions remain unanswered, making the assassination one of the greatest mysteries in modern history. Kennedy's death plunged the entire United States into mourning. Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in on Air Force One to ensure political stability. Kennedy's legacy lives on through the reformist policies and progressive ideals he represented. His famous quote, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country," continues to inspire generations to come. The assassination was not only a national tragedy, but also a poignant reminder of the fragility of freedom and democracy. Number 5. Down the Light. The Assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and the Struggle for Equality. On April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr., the renowned American civil rights leader, was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee. King, a 1964 Nobel Peace Prize winner, was a symbol of the nonviolent struggle for equal rights for African Americans. The assassination not only took the life of a peaceful icon, but also shook America during a time of great unrest. King traveled to Memphis to support a strike by black sanitation workers who were fighting for fair wages and working conditions. On the evening of April 4th, as King stood on the balcony of the Lorraine Hotel, where he was staying, a long-range shot struck him in the neck, killing him. Although he was rushed to St. Joseph Hospital, King died at 7:05 p.m. that same day, at the age of 39. The perpetrator, James Earl Ray, a convicted felon, was captured after more than 2 months on the run. Ray was extradited from England to the United States and pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty, which resulted in a 99-year prison sentence. Although Ray admitted responsibility, he later recanted his confession, claiming he was the victim of a larger conspiracy. The incident sparked many theories about the role of the government or secret organizations in King's death, although official investigations found no evidence of such conspiracies. King's death shocked the nation. Protests and riots erupted in more than 100 major cities, reflecting the anger and grief of the African American community. President Lyndon B. Johnson declared a national day of mourning and called on Congress to pass the Fair Housing Act of 1968 to honor King's legacy. Martin Luther King Jr. left an indelible legacy. He was not only a leader of the American civil rights movement, but also a global symbol of the fight for peace and justice. His famous words, "I have a dream," continue to inspire millions around the world. King's assassination is a reminder of the value of unity and the continued fight for equality and freedom for all. King's assassination is a reminder of the value of unity and the continued fight for equality and freedom for all. Continue to inspire millions around the world. Number 6. The Kennedy family tragedy, the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy, and the pain that follows. On June 5, 1968, Robert F. Kennedy, a New York senator and candidate for President of the United States, was assassinated in Los Angeles, California. The younger brother of President John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy was known for his strong commitment to social justice, civil rights, and opposition to the Vietnam War. The assassination occurred just months after the death of Martin Luther King Jr., plunging the United States into a period of deep turmoil and grief. On the evening of June 4th, Robert Kennedy celebrated his victory in the California Democratic primary, a crucial step on his path to the presidency. After speaking to supporters at the Ambassador Hotel, he walked through the kitchen area to leave the building. There, Sirhan, a Palestinian immigrant, ambushed and fired several shots at Kennedy at close range. Kennedy was shot in the head and neck and collapsed on the spot, while 5 others were wounded in the attack. Robert Kennedy was taken to Good Samaritan Hospital and underwent hours of surgery. However, he did not survive and died on the morning of June 6, 1968, at the age of 42. Kennedy's death caused a wave of grief and anger across the United States, as another young and passionate leader was taken away in tragic circumstances. Sirhan was arrested at the scene and quickly charged. According to his testimony, Sirhan claimed that his actions were in protest of Kennedy's support for Israel. During his trial, Sirhan was sentenced to death, but the sentence was later reduced to life in prison when California suspended the death penalty. Although Sirhan pleaded guilty, many conspiracy theories emerged, suggesting that there were accomplices or a larger motive behind the assassination, but no conclusive evidence was presented. The death of Robert Kennedy was not only a personal loss, but also overshadowed hopes for a more united future for America. Kennedy is remembered as a leader dedicated to social justice, civil rights, and the rights of working people. His famous quote, "Some look at the world and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not," continues to inspire those fighting for positive change. The assassination of Robert F. Kennedy is a tragic reminder of the fragility of hope and the importance of unity in times of trial. Number 7. The tragedy of leadership, the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and the shock of India. On October 31, 1984, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated at her residence in New Delhi, ending the life of one of the most influential leaders in modern Indian history. As India's first female prime minister, Indira Gandhi led the country through challenging times, including war, political upheaval, and sweeping economic reforms. However, her hardline policies also made her a target of hatred. The background to the assassination was Operation Blue Star in June 1984, when Gandhi ordered a raid on the Golden Temple, Sikhism's holiest site, to suppress armed separatists. The attack sparked outrage among the Sikh community, killing hundreds and wounding their religious pride. This in turn led some Sikh extremists to seek revenge. On the day of the assassination, Gandhi was walking in the garden of her residence to meet an interviewer. 2 of her Sikh bodyguards, Satwant Singh and Beant Singh, opened fire, shooting her 33 times. She was rushed to the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, but succumbed to her injuries. The assassination shocked India, and millions paid tribute to the resilient Prime Minister. The aftermath of the assassination was a series of anti-Sikh riots across India, especially in New Delhi, in which thousands of Sikhs were killed, property destroyed, and hundreds of thousands displaced. This violent retaliation left a deep scar in India's modern history. Her son, Rajiv Gandhi, later assumed the post of Prime Minister to continue her work. Indira Gandhi is remembered not only for her great contributions to strengthening India's position on the international stage, but also for her determination and strength in the face of challenges. However, her assassination is a painful reminder of the consequences of religious and political conflicts. Her image lives on as a symbol of resilience and leadership during India's most difficult times. Number 8. When the music was silent, the assassination of John Lennon and the global shock. On December 8, 1980, John Lennon, a former member of the legendary band The Beatles, was assassinated outside his Dakota apartment in New York City. This event not only left the music world without a legend, but also shook the hearts of millions of fans around the world. Lennon, at the age of 40, had been a symbol of peace, love, and innovation in music for decades. That evening, Lennon and his wife, Yoko Ono, returned home from a recording session. As they got out of their car and entered the Dakota building, Lennon was suddenly shot 5 times from behind by Mark David Chapman, a fanatic fan, with a Charter Arms pistol. 4 bullets hit Lennon, causing serious injuries. Although he was rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, he did not survive and was pronounced dead at 11:15 p.m. Chapman, an unemployed security guard from Hawaii, had been waiting outside Lennon's apartment all day. Before the attack, he had asked Lennon for an autograph on a copy of Double Fantasy. Chapman admitted to his actions and did not resist arrest when police arrived at the scene. In his statement, he said he had killed Lennon because he wanted to be famous and was influenced by the conflicting ideals in Lennon's songs. Lennon's death sent the world into a state of deep grief. Millions of fans gathered in major cities to pay their respects, most notably at Strawberry Fields, a memorial in Central Park near the Dakota apartment. Lennon's death also prompted widespread condemnation of gun violence and the psychological effects of fanaticism. John Lennon is remembered not only as a brilliant musician who, with the Beatles, changed modern music, but also as a staunch peace activist. Songs like Imagine have become symbols of human unity and hope. His assassination was a great tragedy, but Lennon's musical legacy and message live on, inspiring generations to come with love, peace, and endless creativity. Number 9. The Shadow of Politics, the Assassination of Benazir Bhutto, and the Pakistan Earthquake. On December 27, 2007, Benazir Bhutto, former Prime Minister of Pakistan and icon of democracy, was assassinated in Rawalpindi in a double attack that included a shooting and a suicide bombing. The event shocked not only Pakistan, but the world, as Bhutto was the first woman to lead a Muslim nation and a symbol of the struggle for freedom and equality. Bhutto returned to Pakistan in October 2007 after 8 years in exile, hoping to restore democracy and contest the upcoming elections. On 27 December, she held a large campaign rally at Liaquat Park in Rawalpindi, attracting thousands of supporters. After delivering her speech, Bhutto left the venue in an armored vehicle. As she rose through the skylight to wave to the crowd, an attacker fired 3 shots at her before detonating a bomb. The explosion killed 23 people and injured dozens. Bhutto was rushed to hospital but died of her injuries at the age of 54. Bhutto's death plunged Pakistan into turmoil. Protests and riots broke out across the country, reflecting the anger and grief of the people at the loss of a revered leader. The Pakistani government and international investigative agencies, including the United Nations, have been involved in investigating the assassination. The Taliban and Al-Qaeda are blamed for the attack, but many suspect a deeper political conspiracy involving domestic factions. Benazir Bhutto left a lasting legacy as a strong leader who broke cultural and religious barriers to become Prime Minister of Pakistan in 1988. She fought tirelessly for women's rights, economic reform, and democratization of the country. Her death is a painful reminder of the challenges of defending democracy amid violence and political instability. Bhutto's image and ideals live on, inspiring generations to come with courage and faith in change. Number 10. The Senatorial Conspiracy, the Assassination of Julius Caesar, and the Fall of the Roman Republic. On March 15, 44 BC, Julius Caesar, the great Roman leader, was assassinated during a meeting of the Senate at the Theater of Pompey, marking a major turning point in Roman history. A brilliant military and political leader, Caesar had expanded Rome's territory through conquest and moved the country closer to dictatorship, which made him a target for his political enemies. After his victory in the Civil War, Caesar became a dictator with absolute power. However, his ambition to consolidate power, combined with concerns that he would make himself king, led a group of senators to fear that he was destroying the Roman Republic. The group, calling themselves the Liberators, were led by Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus, and planned to assassinate Caesar in order to save the Republic. On the Ides of March, Caesar arrived at a meeting of the Senate without his bodyguards, despite being warned of the danger. When he entered the chamber, the senators quickly surrounded him and attacked him with daggers. Caesar was stabbed a total of 23 times. Legend has it that when he realized that Brutus, whom he considered a son, was also in on the plot, he exclaimed, "Et tu, Brute?" Literally, "You too, Brutus?" before collapsing. Caesar's death caused chaos throughout Rome. The assassins hoped to restore the Republic, but instead, the assassinations sparked a series of civil wars. The people who had loved Caesar for his reforms were angry and supported his loyal allies, such as Mark Antony and Gaius Octavius, later Emperor Augustus. Ultimately, the Republic collapsed and gave way to the Roman Empire with Augustus as its first emperor. The assassination of Julius Caesar is one of the most important events in history, marking not only the end of a political period, but also the beginning of a new era for Rome. Caesar, despite his assassination, is remembered as one of the greatest leaders in history who shaped Rome and left a lasting legacy of power, reform, and political vision. Number 11. The Gunshot, the Assassination of Malcolm X, and the Struggle for Justice. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm X, one of America's most famous and controversial civil rights activists, was assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. This event not only took the life of an icon of the struggle for equal rights, but also heightened tensions within the American civil rights movement of that era. Malcolm X, born Malcolm Little, was a prominent leader of the African American movement, known for his powerful speeches calling for freedom, equality, and justice. Initially a key member of the Nation of Islam, he became known for his independent thinking and strong views on black rights. However, after leaving the organization in 1964 due to ideological differences, Malcolm X founded his own organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU, which called for unity and struggle on a global scale. His strong ideas, along with his rift with the Nation of Islam, made him a target of hostile forces. On February 21, 1965, during a speech at the Audubon Ballroom, as Malcolm X began his speech, 3 men suddenly rushed onto the stage and shot him with pistols and shotguns. Malcolm X was shot 21 times and died shortly thereafter at the age of 39. The assassination took place in front of his wife, Betty Shabazz, and young children. 3 members of the Nation of Islam were arrested and charged with the assassination, including Talmadge Hayer, Norman 3X Butler, and Thomas 15X Johnson. Although Hayer admitted to the crimes, he declared Butler and Johnson innocent. The case has been controversial for decades, with theories suggesting the FBI or other political forces were involved in orchestrating the assassination. Malcolm X's death sparked a wave of grief and anger in the African American community. He is remembered as a steadfast leader who fought tirelessly for freedom and equality. Although his approach was controversial, Malcolm X's legacy lives on in the civil rights movement and has inspired generations of justice fighters around the world. His assassination is a poignant reminder of the value of freedom and the challenges of the fight for human rights. Number 12. The Fatal Cup of Tea. The Assassination of Alexander Litvinenko and the Mystery of Polonium-210. On November 23, 2006, Alexander Litvinenko, a former KGB agent and critic of the Russian government, died in London after being poisoned with radioactive polonium-210. The assassination not only shocked the world, but also became one of the most mysterious and controversial events related to international intelligence activities. Alexander Litvinenko was an officer of the Russian Federal Security Service (FSB), but in 1998 he publicly accused FSB leaders of ordering the assassination of businessmen and corruption in the Russian security system. After being arrested and enduring years of legal battles, Litvinenko fled to the UK in 2000 and received political asylum. There, he became an outspoken critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin and wrote numerous articles and books critical of the Russian regime, including accusing the FSB of being behind terrorist attacks in Russia. On 1 November 2006, Litvinenko met two former KGB agents, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun, at a hotel in London. After the meeting, he began to show symptoms of severe poisoning and was hospitalized in critical condition. After several days of suffering, Litvinenko died on 23 November. Investigations later found that he had been poisoned with polonium-210, a rare and highly toxic radioactive substance which had been put in the tea he drank during the meeting. Litvinenko's assassination led to a serious diplomatic row between Britain and Russia. A 2016 UK public inquiry concluded that the poisoning was very likely carried out under the direction of the FSB, with the approval of President Putin. However, Russia has always denied the allegations and has refused to extradite the main suspects, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun. Litvinenko's death raises many questions about intelligence operations and the use of toxic substances in political assassinations. It also highlights the risks that dissidents face when standing up to powerful governments. Despite his death, Alexander Litvinenko remains a symbol of the fight against corruption and abuse of power, and a poignant reminder of the consequences of political conflicts on a global scale. If you find this video interesting and informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future content. Please leave your thoughts on this in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next videos.